I'd like to welcome everybody in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us today at Circularity 20 and for this session, Algae and Mushrooms and Pineapples, Oh My, Bioutilization in Action. My name is Suze Okie. I am a circular economy analyst at GreenBiz Group, and I'm so excited to be discussing bioutilization and bio-based materials today with my three fellow panelists. Hopefully Carmen will be able to join us momentarily. Before we begin, a few quick housekeeping notes for everybody. This session is being recorded. The recording will be available on demand following the event about 2 weeks out. Every registered attendee should receive an email letting them know when it's available, so keep your eye out for that. Also, to the right of the screen, you will see a chat box for the session. There you can communicate with your fellow attendees. I encourage you to introduce yourself and where you're tuning in from and share any questions you might have. We will try our hardest to get to them at the end of this session, but with just 25 minutes, it's going to be a quick one, so please bear with us on that. And finally, you will see a survey pinned to the top of the chat box, again to your right. We take feedback very seriously here at GreenBiz, so we would be super grateful if you'd fill this survey out as soon as the session has concluded. Now, back to bioutilization. From fish scales and electronics and fabric made out of expired milk, the utilization of biological materials in modern products can sometimes sound like a page out of science fiction, but these products can often offer a game-changing alternative and sustainable alternative to the often destructive and fossil fuel-based materials that our society relies on. So today we're going to be hearing from two at the moment and hopefully a third joining us soon, visionary women bringing these seemingly fantastical materials to life and to market today. It is my pleasure to introduce C. Briganti, CEO and Chief Visionary at LOLIWARE, which is turning algae into compostable straws, cups, and other replacements for single-use plastics. I'm also pleased to introduce Megan Olson, Business Development Lead at Ecovative Design, the creator of mushroom packaging and Business Development Lead at Ecovative Design, the creator of mushroom packaging, a compostable and protective packaging grown from agricultural byproducts and mycelium, designed to replace styrofoam and other secondary packaging materials. And hopefully momentarily, we will have Carmen Iosa, founder and chief creative and innovation officer at Analyst, the creator of Pinatex, a leather and pleather alternative made from pineapple leaf waste. While these three materials really represent just a sliver of the numerous bio-based materials that are currently on and being brought to market, I am super excited to showcase these innovations and to learn what they mean for the market and how we can bring them to scale. So without further ado, let me start with my first question. I'd love to learn what your material is solving for and how this material compares to what's on the market now. So Megan, why don't you take us off?
Sure. So mushroom packaging is a protective packaging solution that is fully home compostable, as Suze mentioned. Mushroom packaging is hemp hurd in mycelium. So mycelium is a glue, a binding agent to bind together the hemp hurd. We have an open loop system, which means we can really use a lot of different agricultural wastes in our process. Our current focus is on utilizing hemp in our stream. So mushroom packaging is a styrofoam solution, essentially. Think of it like a styrofoam alternative.
Awesome.
And
super inspiring.
C, why don't you answer? Oh, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Well, C, go ahead. Can you answer the same question? What is your material solving for, and how does it compare to what's on the market today?
Hi, everyone. So lovely to be here with you today. I'm CF Briganti. I'm the CEO of LOLIWARE. LOLIWARE is the world's most well-known seaweed-based material technology company, and we combine seaweed with cutting-edge manufacturing techniques like additive manufacturing to create the plastic-free materials of the future. Specifically, LOLIWARE is targeting climate change in two key ways. So on the back end, we're proliferating and expanding the global seaweed supply chain, which is a huge carbon sink and has the potential to sequester 20 times more carbon than trees. On the front end, we are tackling big plastic. So we're overturning legacy fossil fuel industries that cause climate change to begin with. So that's our twofold vision and mission for the future. Algae has a super potential to sequester a ton of carbon and to create obviously new polymers and even paper composites. So I'm excited to share more with you guys today.
And Suze, if you don't mind, I'll just add on a little bit. I think I rushed because I know we have such a short amount of time, but the key thing that I didn't address from my side is what we currently address that's on the market today and how that compares. So I guess just building off of that really quickly, obviously the home compostability aspect is huge compared to standard foams and plastics, single-use plastics and shipping on the market. But the durability of a product to be able to protect solutions is different product is very comparable. So I just wanted to kind of add in that piece. So we really look to replace different foam in place type products, potentially lower volumes of polystyrene, and also molded foam solutions. So just building on that a little bit.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I love that the fact that I'm pretty sure both of these materials can be entirely compostable, which is such a fantastic alternative to the fossil fuel-based materials that they're replacing. So since we know what they are and what they're replacing, I'd love to hear, I think it's very important for these bio-based materials to be brought to scale and to take over a larger portion of the market share. So I'm curious how you guys think about bringing these materials to scale, what you think it will take, and if we can do that scaling sustainably. So, C, why don't you take it off?
Great question, because when you look at packaging companies, traditionally they are super carbon positive, which means they're adding a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. There's a lot of greenwashing around paper, and I think this is a great segue from what Megan was saying, which is to say there's not enough industrial composting facilities nationwide to accommodate all the new biopolymers. So really the sweet spot for both Ecovative and LOLIWARE is to be home compostable, actually so safe you can eat it, at least on the LOLIWARE side. So our materials, we have about 126 materials, all derived from thousands of different species of algae. And that's ranging from flexible films to hard plastic, thermoplastic replacements. Now, when we look at carbon footprint, so LOLIWARE is, I believe, the only carbon negative packaging company on the market today. And what that means is we are producing plastic-free packaging that actually removes carbon from the atmosphere. So how do we do that? Mainly, the main drivers for carbon footprint are energy usage, transport, material supply, and packaging. So LOLIWARE, because we're a brand new to world technology, we have total addressability and control over how we scale. So we went from 1 straw a day to 1,000 straws a day. Now we're doing millions. Next year we'll reach about a billion straws and utensils, all made from algae, all designed to disappear. And as we're scaling, we have total addressability over the supply chain. Is it equitable? Is it transparent? Are the coastal community treated fairly? Are they getting paid what they should be getting paid per kilo of seaweed? Is it being extracted in a zero waste whole systems paradigm? Next, it goes into the factory. Does the factory have solar energy? How is it delivered to the customer? So we're completely package free. And then, of course, what's the end of life cycle? So hopefully all of LOLIWARE's products get composted. And now if they end up in the natural environment, like say in a park or in the ocean, they do break down naturally, but we really want them to get composted.
That was a wonderful answer, C. I think I could have just inserted what I wanted to say for mushroom packaging, and it would have fit right in there perfectly. So thank you. I think you really solved a lot of what I wanted to say. So it's beautiful. I think, I'd love to connect with you more after, of course. But I think what you mentioned about greenwashing is a big point that we can address a little bit here today, especially given, our alignment. I think one of the things that happens in the packaging world is companies are looking to take that step towards sustainability, which is obviously great. We don't want single-use plastics and foams ending up in our landfills. But thinking about the supply chain and how different options get on the market is a really important step to think about when you're thinking about sustainability. So different options using corn or sugars, again, a great alternative to plastics, but thinking about the supply chain aspect and how the raw materials get there is a really important step to think about. And I think that that's something that we're uniquely solving for both of our companies here, where we're using waste from the hemp decortication process. So we're not impacting a food or supply chain that's utilized for other industries. We're really looking at incorporating agricultural waste into our end products. And the way we're working to scale is we're actually really in the middle of that now. So Ecovative was founded about 13 years ago with our mushroom packaging technology. And now we're in the process of scaling up with different licensees all around the world. And a key part of that scale up process for us is helping our licensees identify local raw material sources to utilize for their input for the mushroom packaging process. So a little bit back to the open loop comment that I mentioned earlier. So we've really honed in on our focus with hemp curd, inoculated hemp curd, to grow that mycelium as the binding agent, but we can add different components to the mix as well. Rice hulls, for example. And so looking to source different local raw materials for the end product for our different licensees around the world. So it's a really big step for us in scaling, focusing on that raw material aspect and in the input for our process.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I think both of you kind of briefly touched on this in your answer, that it seems like both of these materials have this unique ability to add value to the system that they're living within, either by capturing more CO2 than their alternatives or creating value for a waste stream that that was not being captured before for those that are making said waste. So that's one of the things that I love about these bio-based products. If either of you have any other additions to thoughts to add to that that line, it's not so much a question as a comment, but I'm happy to ask another question if not.
I see some really beautiful questions over here, Suze, in the comments. I think the cost is an interesting discussion, although I don't know, Megan, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's complicated.
Yes, I have been capturing some of those questions, and I'll definitely circle back to them. But before we dive into the audience questions, one more to bring to both of you. As both of your materials have a B2B market, and I would love to hear how companies should be thinking about incorporating these materials into their supply chains and or their products, and what adapting to these products, will it require any adjustment on the company side, or how can they shift away from either the plastic packaging that LOLIWARE is replacing, or the styrofoam that mushroom packaging is replacing. So Megan, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So the first step for companies in really getting started with this process with us, for example, is to get that buy-in from often upper level management, right? So we have large companies coming to us who have a sustainability initiative they're looking to solve. They're looking to replace all of their single-use plastics and foams in their packaging over the next X number of years. So the way that we work with those customers is we really like to focus on a specific product to start with to really kick off that process. We go through a whole custom design process with our customers where we're creating unique shapes depending on their packaging needs. And the key thing here is that once we've really worked through that design process, the mushroom packaging is designed to be a direct replacement for any foams, any custom molded paper pulp, for example. So we really have to make a direct replacement with our mushroom. We go into production with our mushroom packaging. We go through drop testing to make sure that it really is serving its purpose as a protective packaging solution. So one example that I have here is our wonderful customer Keep candles. So this is one more insert in it as a cardboard layer on top, but otherwise this has been fully approved through drop testing. So again, really looking to replace standard foams and other packaging solutions. And of course, a big piece of the goal too is the presentation. So this package could arrive safely to a customer with different peanuts or shapes like that. We focus on molded shapes, so the presentation of the product as well. But with that being said, we focus on some beauty and cosmetics and lifestyle type products, but we can also work all the way up through heavy industrial machinery. And it's just about the different components that we design into a pack. So the design process is really where we get started, but looking to be a direct replacement for other protective packaging solutions.
Excellent. And C, same question to you. How should companies be thinking about incorporating LOLIWARE into their supply chain and products? And will adapting to them require significant adjustments on their part?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the world just hit the reset button, you know, with this pandemic, and go culture was really bad before, but now it's the new normal. So we're seeing over the last 2 quarters, plastic companies have had their largest revenue months. And in fact, they've reached full capacity. They can no longer serve any new customers. So for entrepreneurs like, you know, Megan and I, the time couldn't be more urgent. So for us, I mean, our demand exceeds our capacity at the moment while we scale. We're focused on 9 different single-use plastics, all of which have been already banned around the EU and some leader states in the United States, but will be banned eventually worldwide. So we're targeting those small format plastics that you see in the ocean a lot, whether it be caps, lids, straws, cups, utensils, etc. But yeah, that's really what informs us and what inspires us is, you know, where are the biggest opportunities? How can we partner with the right people to scale? I think what's unique about LOLIWARE is that we're a B2B company with a forward-facing millennial Gen Z brand and movement. And so we have organic demand across 68 countries and 6 continents because the brand that we created, you know, it's a movement. It's like you can't create a new future without first imagining it. And LOLIWARE helps people to imagine that new future with new products.
I love that. So aspirational. And I think you bring in a lot of good points about the current state. Oh, Carmen. Hello.
I'm so sorry, guys. Hello from Europe. Hello.
Glad you could join us after all. Just a quick question for everyone. I'm the audience founder and I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a little hitting mute on your speakers. So just to reiterate, Carmen Iota, founder and chief creative and innovation officer at Analyst, creator of a leather and other alternative pineapple leaf waste. So, Carmen, Carmen, just to touch on some of the questions that we've already been asking. What is the material solving for, and how does this material compare to the market?
Hello, everybody. My apologies. Sus, I can hear you very badly. So really, I will have to say what I think I should be saying, really, because I can't hear you very well. But I'm the founder of Analyst, and I have invented Pinatex, this material which is made from pineapple leaf fiber, which is the waste of the pineapple harvest. And the problem that is solving is that it can be used as an alternative to leather and petroleum-based textiles, which are rather toxic materials. It can be used in the making of shoes, bags, accessories in the fashion industry, interiors, automotive. So it's really already proven that it works. It can work against these materials very well. And it has a lot of value because to create Pinatex, we do not need to use any water, land, fertilizer. We work with farming communities in the Philippines at the moment from beginning to end. So we actually developed the full supply chain, meaning that this material has a very strong positive impact on people and the planet. Whatever you want me to say next, because I hope I can hear you.
Yes. Well, if hopefully we won't have the same reverb issue. I think, Carmen, if you hit the little microphone button at the bottom of the black screen, it shows our faces.
Maybe if I do this, maybe you can hear me better. Hello?
Yes, I think so. Or I think you'll be able to hear me. Click that microphone at the bottom of your screen.
If I click, I can't click it. I'm so sorry, guys. It doesn't click. There is some problems here. Sus, I'm very, very, very sorry. Everybody, I'm awfully sorry. Maybe I can say something more if I can, but it's really difficult to hear you.
That's okay. Here, I think actually I realized I might be able to mute you. So I'm not sure if you're able to hear me a little bit better now. Give me a nod if you can. Perhaps not. I do want to address one question that I'm seeing a lot of flurry in the chat about. I think a lot of people are curious about the price comparisons when it comes to the alternatives that are on the market. I know this is a loaded question, so I just wanted to hear from you guys. When you think about comparing to what exists on the market, what are the major constraints to scaling these either fossil fuel-based or animal-based alternatives when it comes to Pinatex to compete with the cost that exists elsewhere? See, go ahead.
Suze, you have a lot of your thing. You guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just super accurate. Yeah, it's just we're using 9 people who are the main thing we have to remember is that plastic is not reflected in the cost to our health, the cost to our fisheries, plastic everywhere. It's not reflected in the cost of how much it's going to cost to clean it all up. It's a lie. Like plastic shouldn't be that cheap if you were to calculate the whole systems of the economics. That being said, it's really important for mass adoption and scale to be able to have some semblance of pricing parity, which LOLIWARE will reach at the end of 2021 will be as cheap as the scaled competition in bioplastic and paper. And the way that we're able to do that is by really scaling the supply chain. So I think that's a really important aspect of that. And I'm sure that, Megan, you have some interest.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. Yeah, building off of that, similar for us. So price point is incredibly important, right? Because if we can't compete on price, we can't get new opportunities and help displace all of the foams that we're looking to displace. It's a really good point that C said, thinking about the full model of cost. So it's the cost of the planet associated with just the cost of the product. For us, it's the one thing that I didn't mention earlier about mushroom packaging related to the home compostability, similar to what C said, is that mushroom packaging is also fully marine compostable as well. You know, we have many customers say, oh, we're living in New York City, where do we put the product? You can actually feel good about throwing this in Central Park. Please don't get me in trouble for saying that, but you can feel much better about throwing this in the park than you could for some other single-use packaging solution that is not compostable, because where it will end up, the nutrients will return to the earth. So that's a really big step. But with regards to cost, so our focus for when we're looking at alternatives to polystyrene, this really nasty stuff that crumbles apart when you take your product out, this can be challenging for us at high volumes. So for us, when we're looking at offsetting polystyrene, we're looking for volumes annually of about 500,000 units a year max. Now, for other types of foams that like custom shapes of molded foam, such as fabricated polyethylene, ethylene vinyl acetate, that's when we can be really cost competitive. Same with foam in place solutions. Many folks know that as Instapak, but that's the brand name. So we can often also be a really great solution for molded alternatives. very inexpensive on the per piece price, but only for high volumes. The tooling cost of that getting started can be incredibly high. So for small brands, that can be a no-go. For us, the tooling cost is quite low. So that's another aspect that we focus on when we're thinking about the fact that we're offering a custom molded shape. But again, that's kind of the basics, but I love what C said about thinking beyond the actual true cost that you see there.
Carmen, hopefully we've avoided the microphone challenge. Do you have any additional thoughts on that front when comparing Pinatex to the price of the market of leather and other materials that it's replacing?
I'm very sorry. Maybe you can try again to say something because it's such an echo that I can't hear you very well.
Again, we're talking about how we're thinking about price comparison and the major constraints to scaling Pinatex in comparison to leather and the replacement goods that it's replacing.
I think I kind of understood what is
me?
the upscaling potential to, for Pinatex if we compare to leather or other materials. And if I can just say that, Pinatex is already in the upscaling stage. We already have a pilot plant working in the Philippines with a subsidiary company. In the Philippines, it's really very important when you try to upscale that people, understanding local communities, local everything. That is really how, in our experience, it worked. And then we are really doing the same thing in Costa Rica already. So the upscaling stage goes from pilot plant that is already working in one country to another country. And this really means that we take time in working with partners in terms of education, in terms of sharing knowledge, in terms of bringing technology, which then is blended, if you like, with local technology. This is really very important in terms of machines. We are setting up better systems, and this is the way we're upscaling slowly, but really, taking into account what we find in each geographical part of the world and address it locally, which I think is very important.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I think thinking about local solutions is also very critical to scaling these bio-based materials. So I know we are just coming at the end of our time, and there are so many questions that we were not able to answer. I just want to give you all the opportunity to share either in the chat or verbally a way that our attendees can ask questions of our panelists moving forward, or if you have any other resources that you'd like to share with the audience so that they can learn more about your products moving forward.
Yeah, if I could just say something. Sorry, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. If there's only one thing you can do, please consider using less plastic. Please bring your own packaging. Please consider supporting entrepreneurs like LOLIWARE, Okie, or Tom Saki on the people list over here with Paracycle. It's really up to us to create this new future, and it's more urgent than ever. And thank you for having us here today, GreenBiz and Suze, the organizers.
Sorry, may I only say here, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My apologies, thank you very much. And if anybody wants to know a little bit more, please go to the Ananasanam website, ananasanam.com, or look at Pinatex, and you will hear the story that I was not able to give you. My really full apologies. And have a lovely end of the conference.
Thank you so much, Carmen, and really appreciate all of our panelists for joining us today. Thank you so much to our audience. I hope you enjoy the rest of the programming at Circularity 20, and please do remember to take the survey at the top of this chat. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.